one setup. He has access to a Garboder now, it looks like, if he'd like it. He even has an enhanced hammer to cause some additional disruption. Just the basically ideal start from Azul.
And like we've been saying, Zorak is a card that really two hits most things for a knockout. And a card that really tries to punish that is Glycopod with multiple Acerolas.
Yeah, the whole kind of gimmick of this deck is to be able to take a little bit of damage and then Acerola, which not only heals you and prevents your opponent from taking knockouts, but also you can send up another Glycopod and then it does more damage with first impression. Just that Acerola synergy is very, very strong here. Same thing with Guzma.
And here we go. Azul Ultra Balls for the Garbotoxin Garboder, and abilities will be shut off.
Yep, we saw Azul play that Tapu Lele first, even though he already played supporter this turn. Not a play you commonly see, but he knew that he was going to be turning Garbotoxin on this turn, so he just wanted to use his abilities while he could.
And there's an Enhanced Hammer, a big card in this matchup that Azul loves to see. And first impression, dealing 120 damage to Tapu Lele. And really, Azul's really dominating right now, and it's only turn 2.
Yeah, this is basically exactly what Azul planned for. He had a great start, and then Rahul is definitely struggling here. So it's not, I don't think Azul could really ask for anything more.
Yeah, and Rahul on his side plays a Sycamore, discarding his hand of, I believe, 5. That's a lot of resources that you don't want to take away.
Yeah, we see Rahul dropping his first Zorua onto the bench on what turn? It's turn 3 here. Just not really putting a whole lot together.
And the multi-switch coming out, it was kind of like, you may think like, well, why is he discarding the double colorless to retreat? Well, first off, it's going to probably get discarded with Enhanced Hammer anyway. But multi-switch allows the Buzzwole to Jet Punch this turn, so he can try to get a little bit more offense.
Yeah, he did hit a Jet Punch for 60 thanks to that Choice Band, putting some pressure on the Wimpod on the bench. But here we see this kind of interaction of, I'm going to retreat.
This turnstile of Glycopod.
Yeah, my new Glycopod is here to do 120.
All right, there we see a special charge, putting back 2 double colorless for Rahul.
Yeah, one of the good cards in Rahul's deck versus something like Enhanced Hammer is that special charge, just kind of giving him 2 extra copies of double colorless energy, so and the Enhanced Hammers don't hurt quite as badly.
There we go, the Field Blower taking off the tool from the Garboder, meaning he can actually Wonder Tag for supporter to try to get a little bit more setup.
Yeah, well-timed Field Blower there from Rahul. Interesting to see what supporter he goes for here. Yeah, so I was going to say, one common idea might be, actually he's just going to go ahead and throw the Bridget away.
Yeah, it's kind of like too late. You're like, well, if I play Bridget now, like...
He has an N in his hand, yeah. So I think he was kind of debating on, all right, well, I can play this Bridget, but it doesn't really actually like advance me all that much. Or I can play an N and draw 6 new cards, and hopefully I'll hit the Rock Ruff and another Zorua or something.
And he does Ultra Ball for the Zoroark too, so he will be able to trade as well this turn and maybe find a few more basics. You don't really want to play Lycanroc in this matchup, right?
I don't think so, especially when he has, when Azul has Garbotoxin. Obviously, Bloodthirsty Eyes is a great ability if you can use it, but
there we go. 2 Zoruas off that end. Who needs Bridget? A little late, but...
Yeah, Rahul doesn't need Bridget, that's for sure.
Trade.
But yeah, so the Lycanroc is a huge liability versus Glycopod.
And now it's going to be some action on Azul to see if he can retreat or bring up this Glycopod somehow so he can do the full first impression damage.
Yeah, this has actually been a really solid turn for Rahul. He started this turn without really much going on, and now he has his first Zoroark up. He's actively trading. He's got 2 Zorua on the bench. He's definitely in a better position now. Stumbled a little bit. That may come back to haunt him, but he's definitely well in this game.
It'll be big to see if Azul finds another tool to attach to that Garboder, because Rahul's turn will be really dependent on trade from Zoroark. I see as a few in his hand as well.
Yeah, again, we were talking a little bit earlier when we did the deck profile about how dependent this deck is on, all right, well, we can play some we can play some weird counts of cards, some more mediocre cards, just so we can always trade them off. But when you are blocking trade, you can't do that, and that can lead to some really awkward hands.
There's the Acerola from Azul. Now he's going to be able to retreat to that Glycopod and deal the full 120 and take the knockout on the Buzzwall GX.
Ooh, 2 Zoroark GX come into play.
Yeah, I told you had a lot of Zoroark in hand. And thankfully for Rahul, he didn't get that tool. So he'll be able to trade and kind of find what he needs. Unfortunately, with all the stuff he's been trying to go through to set up, he's gone through 3 puzzle at a time and not even be able to use one of them.
Yeah, that this deck can be pretty reliant on puzzle of time in the late game, so that's going to be something that Rahul is going to have to think about.
But wow, I love this play. Guzma on the Wimpod. And for those of you like, well, you need to switch, he has 2 Zoroark in play.
Yeah, he's just kind of shortcutting. Yeah, that was a great play there to knock out this Wimpod. Makes it so that Azul will not have access to another Glycopod. Next turn, the Glycopod that he does have already has damage on it. So a very heads-up play by Rahul there, just saying, all right, this is only 1 prize, but I need to kind of stifle your setup as much as possible.
Yeah, and now it kind of takes away the ability of Azul going Acerola my Glycopod and evolve it into the fresh Wimpod.
Yeah, which is a common strategy of this deck, just trying to cycle through those Glycopods as much as possible.
All right, there's an Ultra Ball, gets another Wimpod. He really needs more Glycopod in play. Those 2 Tapu Lele on the bench are kind of clogging things up a little bit.
Yeah, we did see Rahul kind of debate putting down that Rock Breath last turn. He did end up putting it down, just kind of saying, yeah, it's a risk, but the Bloodthirsty Eyes is so strong that I might just need to take that risk, which I think is really interesting.
All right, let's see what Azul can put together. He really doesn't want to attack with that Glycopod either, because it will just get knocked out. So yeah, he's attaching to the Tapu Lele. It'll do a good 80 damage to the Zoroark, even more if he could find a Choice Band.
Yeah, doesn't want to offer up that Glycopod. It's not a great trade for him to just get knocked out and have to still dig for a response next turn. So he's just saying, all right, this Tapu Lele is going to get in there, do some damage. Double colorless isn't super important. You're unlikely to be able to knock it out anyway, and I'm just gonna try to soften you up to get a Glycopod in there next turn.
It is always dangerous when you end yourself to 4 early on in the game, though, because you run the risk of not drawing the cards you need. But there's an Enhanced Hammer, like we said, one of the main cards in this matchup, taking out the double colorless on the active Zoroark. Unfortunately, it does lower your damage for Tapu Lele, but I think he's fine with that.
Yeah, he would just much rather prevent Rahul from attacking. The Enhanced Hammers are so strong versus this deck running various lists running 7 to 8 special energies. Just one of the premier cards.
And again, Azul did not find a tool for the Garbotoxin. So Rahul is free to trade away anything he wants.
Yeah, so I think, I think this is Rahul's only DCE in the discard pile, though, right? Because he shuffled them back.
Yeah, he special charge earlier on in the game.
Yeah, he still has access to 3 of them. Rahul just checking the discard piles. This is something you'll see top players do, just kind of make sure, A, what have you played? What do I need to play around? Probably counting Enhanced Hammer counts, if I had to guess. And then also checking his own, just to kind of remember what outs he has.
And we see here, he does have the double colors in hand. So really, he's just trying to thin out his hand and looking for maybe even a Lycanroc GX to try to Bloodthirsty Eyes the Glycopod on the bench and take out all of the important attackers on Azul's side of the field. But no, he's going for the Wimpod. Okay.
Yeah, making that same play as last time. Just it's kind of the same rationale. The Wimpod doesn't have an energy on it, which the last one did. But it's just the same thing as saying your Glycopod already has damage on it. It's already going to be more easily knocked out. I'm just going to cut you off of setting up and go down to an even number of prizes. Also, the Max Potion on the Tapu Lele.
What a turn from Rahul. He Max Potioned the Tapu Lele. He was able to Enhanced Hammer the double colorless off the opposing Tapu Lele and take a knockout on the Wimpod, and still leaving the Glycopod on the bench with 90 damage, forcing Azul to like, well, I can Acerola it, but then I won't have an attacker.
Yeah, just Rahul started off this game on a bad foot, and now I think has just kind of pulled things back his way. That last turn was just unreal for him, and
That's the power of Zorark.
yes, that is the power of just being able to trade, right? If things were going better for Azul, he would just have Garbotoxin online, trade would be cut off, and Rahul wouldn't have been able to do basically any of that. But that just shows you how strong trade is and how important keeping that Garbotoxin online is for Azul.
And I'm still curious about Azul's hand after that N. I don't know if there's much really going on for him. He's definitely deep in the tank thinking right now.
Yeah, he doesn't really have a good option here. He's not going to...
Yeah, it might be just like a Guzma first impression play or even just Guzma stall. But, okay, he's going to take the knockout.
Yeah, I think it's smart to take the knockout here. Go down to 2 prizes left. You just need 1 knockout somewhere to win the game. This Glycopod is going to be dealt with either way. You can try to set up another one or try to set up a play maybe with Tapu Lele. So I think Azul will just kind of dig for prizes there and put a little bit more pressure on Rahul.
Yeah, like, especially with his hand being so bad right now, he's like, okay, I need something from these prizes to try to get me out of this. I need more Wimpod in play. I need more Glycopod. I need a tool for Garbotoxin.
Yeah, he just needs so much here to see that single puzzle of time. Like you said, there are 3 in the discard pile, so that last one isn't going to do much.
And there we go. Riot is speeding for the knockout on the Glycopod. Azul is left with 0 energy in play and no attackers as of right now.
Rahul going down to 2 prizes.
Man, what a change of events. That Zorark being able to go unchecked and just trade away and get Rahul everything he needs.
Yeah, Azul going to check out the discard pile, kind of thinking like, man, how did this happen? Where are my tools? How can I turn Garbotoxin on?
All right, there is the 3rd enhanced hammer, I believe, from Azul. And one thing Rahul kind of has to worry about is like, okay, I couldn't really use my puzzles this game. I already used my special charge. I need to make sure I have these double colorless energy.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be kind of Rahul's thinking from this point on is, all right, how can I conserve these resources? I need to be really careful on my energy drops. And Garbotoxin is back online.
Finally, Azul finds a float stone, because even before he just attached a choice band, and he has a choice band on the Tapu Lele now, so he will be able to deal a little bit more damage. And the 2nd field blower from Rahul coming down.
It's a big game.
Turning off Garbotoxin again. Rahul definitely just wants to keep trading.
And even Rahul has the float stone to move this one out of the active, potentially attack with a bench Zorark. He's kind of just going off this turn.
I think he's been going off for the past few turns.
Yeah,
like,
he's kind of just going off this game after what was a pretty slow start.
And there's an N, putting Azul down to 2. This is not looking good. And of course, Rahul, doesn't really matter, he goes down to 2. He's going to draw a bunch of cards anyway.
Yeah, that's, again, one of the powers of Zorark is that it doesn't matter how many cards you have in your hand. 1 can turn into 2, and then that can turn into 3 with another trade. It's just, you're very, very resilient to N.
All right, and Rahul is even setting up for trying to take the game next turn if Garbotoxin does not get active with a Bloodthirsty Eyes to try to knock out this Tapu Lele if nothing happens. Azul goes heavy balls for the Glycopod, but that's not really what he wants right now.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I don't think he'll be setting up another Glycopod in this game. Just thinning his deck out, getting some relevant cards out of there.
He definitely still can win this game, but he has to try to target down that Zorark on the bench with 130 damage on it. All it would take would be a Guzma and a double colorless. But
Right.
the end of 2 might spell disaster.
Yeah, Azul definitely doesn't have that in play. Now he's just kind of thinking about, or in his hand rather.
I think his hand is double Floatstone. Yeah,
Oh,
wow.
nice. Okay, so he's able to just kind of make a stalling play here, turning Garbotoxin back on.
And their rule
Right.
takes away the win condition from Azul. Acerolas the Zoroark on the bench. There's now no damage on any Pokemon on Rule's side of the field. And
Yeah,
there's
that's
the
going to
Riders
make
beating
things
for
a
the knockout.
lot harder for Azul here.
What really can he do?
I just think, yeah, he just has to hope that nothing goes wrong here.
Riders beating 150.
He's just kind of stalling. I don't think, yeah, he's going to go ahead and concede. I don't think there's actually any way for him to win before Rahul there, unless, like, I guess he could draw another Enhanced Hammer and kind of keep Rahul off of energy, but Azul just scoops him up. So Rahul takes game one after what is, I think, a bad matchup for him, and what was a pretty bad start as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't stress this enough, but Zoroark GX, what a card. Just being able to have Rahul recover his setup and just go unchecked. He really just took over that game.
Yeah, I think the key to that game was just Azul's inability to keep Garbotoxin online. He just, that trade can just take over the game. You just bury your opponent in card advantage. It's just, if you just let your opponent trade for, 2 to 3 times over the course of any amount of turns, you're gonna have a very hard time winning. And I think that game would have played out very, very differently if Garbotoxin had been up that whole time. If Rahul, like that one turn where Rahul did all this stuff where he DCE'd and Enhanced Hammer and Max Potion.
Oh my gosh.
He drew maybe all of that off of trades. Like his hand, he only had a Strong Energy in hand with a bunch of other relevant cards, I believe, when he started that turn. So if Garbotoxin had been up, he just wouldn't have been able to do that. And that was kind of the one of the very important turns in that game.
Yeah, it was 2 well-timed field blowers from Rahul, and that is why you play cards like that, is for Garbotoxin, and it's kind of seen a decline, but that's really what's helped him this game.
All right, we saw a 1-1 Gliscon line in Azul's prizes. And
oh, the multi-switch.
Multi-switch plays are not going to be available to Rahul here. And we are off with Azul going first.
All right, well, he at least gets the Ultra Ball for the Tapu Lele for the Bridget. Again, that's what you want to see. But unfortunately, unless he has a Float Stone in hand, he won't be able to get the Trubbish out of the active. And that's one thing you kind of want to do is like bring up the Tapu Koko because it has free retreat.
Yeah, absolutely. Not going to be the ideal turn for Azul here unless, as you said, he can move.
I think the Tapu Koko was prized too.
Correct, it was. So 3 Wimpods hit the field for Azul.
And there's the pass. He chooses not to attach the energy because he doesn't want to try to have a bunch of damage on a Wimpod. Granted, it does have 70. I don't know if a Guzma and a Double Colorless could take it out, but still, you want these Gliscods to be damage-free.
Yeah, there's just kind of no reason to commit the energy there. He doesn't want to open himself up to anything weird, and Gliscod is usually attacking for 1 energy anyway.
And there's the N and a pass from Rahul.
Yeah, again, no setup. He does have plenty of cards in his hand to play next turn, but no Zoruas on the bench, just nothing at all. Just has to pass the turn back.
Yeah, his hand is full of Pokemon and supporters. He does have a Bridget for next turn if he chooses to, but even then, he still won't have an energy. And this is Azul's time to capitalize on this again. He gets the Gliscod and then plays a Sycamore. I think he discarded 3 Sycamore that turn, basically. So Ultra Ball away 2 Sycamore, and then play a Sycamore.
Does he have a way to switch to get this Trubbish out of the active? I don't think so.
These float zones have been really hard to find for Azul.
Yeah, just has to pass the turn back and opening stuff up.
And wow,
to a Bridget.
Rahul draws the Double Colorless, so he will be able to put some pressure on this Trubbish. And that's always great to think about when the worst thing against your deck is Garbotoxin.
Yeah, so the Bridget a turn too late here, but just completely fine. Rahul is very thankful that he didn't get first impression. He's very thankful to have to be able to play out this turn kind of pressure-free, as it were. And now we may see a similar thing to last game. You know, we saw Rahul kind of stumble in the early turns. And he says to pass the turn back.
Yeah, he chooses not to attach the double colorless because of those 4 enhanced hammer from Azul. He'd
Yeah.
rather use it for a Zoroark or even just on the Tapu Lele, but trying to take a bigger hit on a Glycopod.
Yeah, the double colorless are just too important. And we are going to see a first impression knockout on a Zorua after a, thanks to a Guzma here.
Yeah, and there's the heavy ball getting the Garbotoxin Garbodor. And I don't know if he was able to draw the tool this turn, but he still wants to get it out.
Yeah, just no tool to turn on Garbotoxin, but is going to take that knockout. Has a pretty beautiful setup so far.
Yeah, that first impression, being able to dish out so much damage, 120 if it's brought to the active this turn for just a single grass energy. And there we see on Rahul's side, Ultra Ball for the Zoroark GX. He will have access to trade this turn thanks to no tool on Azul's side of the field for Garbodor. And there is another Tapu Lele getting Professor Sycamore. Rahul definitely needs to find some more cards. Another Zoroark would be great. He has the double colorless already.
I think similar to last game, he'd like to find another Zoroark. A single Rockruff would be nice. But between this Professor Sycamore and trade, I imagine he'll be able to find what he needs. But he actually doesn't find anything else, but he just has to attack and pass. There's the Enhanced Hammer, double colorless of Azul's own and an N.
Wow, that was a great swing of things for Azul, getting rid of all the energy on Rahul's side of the field. And now he has the choice of even using Crossing Cut GX, where he can deal 150 damage and retreat to the bench, kind of saving this Glycopod from getting damaged even more. But now the main thing is, can he find the float zone? And he did. Garbotoxin is active, meaning Rahul will have to try to find Field Blower, but it is the top card in his hand. Man, this game is really swinging back and forth.
The swings, there we go. There's the Field Blower. No more Garbotoxin. Rahul is free to use all the abilities he'd like.
And I think Azul actually went with Armor Press, the 100 damage, reduce 20 next turn.
Correct.
Kind of preventing Rahul from even further trying to take a knockout on this Glycopod. The name of the game is basically, can Glycopod survive?
Yeah, he's trying to save his GX attack and make it as hard as possible for Rahul here. Does Rahul have a double colorless?
So after a couple trades, he did get a second Puzzle of Time. So he will be able to get double colorless from the discard if he chooses to. It'll be interesting to see what else he chooses with it.
Yep.
He goes with the Tapu Lele, all right.
There's a Wonder Tag, getting those abilities in while he still can.
And there's the Professor Kukui. Does this add up to enough damage to take the knockout, though? 140?
Minus 20 because of Armor Press.
So 120, so 10 short. Does he have the Choice Band in his hand? He drew the fourth Puzzle of Time, I believe. But there's the Choice Band, and even after the Armor Press, Rahul will take the knockout on the Glycopod. And again, it's all thanks to the Field Blower getting rid of Float Zone off of Garbodor.
Yep, wow, Rahul is just, his draws have been excellent this game. His trades have been very, very nice for him, and he's also just been navigating it well. You know, he saw the Lele, Kukui taking the knockout, putting a lot of pressure on Azul.
Yeah, and even with Azul, he is forced to attach the energy to the active Tapu Lele, just in case he doesn't get a way to retreat out of it. He still needs to find the Glycopod as well.
Yeah, let's see what Azul can put together here. Here's an Ultra Ball, so he does have access to that Glycopod. I also see an Enhanced Hammer in his hand. No energy on the board, though, I don't believe, for Rahul, besides that one on the active.
Enhanced Hammer is a tricky card to discard because right now it's not as useful because you will take the knockout on the Zoroark, but later on in the game, even next turn, it could be amazing.
Yeah, he does end up going for it. I don't know what else is in his hand, but he's just kind of deciding.
I believe it's like a grass and an N.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Energy are important, and obviously supporters are important as well. Azul does not have access to trade like Rahul does. And here's the first
there we
impression.
go. Retreat,
knockout,
first impression.
putting Azul down to 3 prizes to Rahul's 4.
One thing of note, Rahul only has this one Zorak GX in play right now, but 3 Tapu Lele on the bench with the Rock Ruff.
Azul consulting, or sorry, Rahul rather, consulting his discard pile. Seeing what his options are.
And there, Rahul trades away the Zorark. He's kind of like, well, I don't know if I could have time to set up another one. I'm all in on this last one.
Decides to just play the Bridget out here. I think he has a 1 Zorar left, I believe.
Well, he has the Buzzwall. So
Yeah, I was just thinking about the Pokemon he could take. He just decides to take the Buzzwole.
And looking at his hand, it's not really much going for it right now. He only has that one puzzle at a time. He still needs to draw the second one to be able to navigate around. And this is where, if Azul is able to draw another Enhanced Hammer, it'd be pretty great. But there's the N. Unfortunately for Azul, it's only putting him down to 3 cards. He doesn't have the ability to trade to try to replenish his hand.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where this N is it's very possibly going to hurt Azul a lot more than it hurts Rahul. The only way that it doesn't really is if Azul can get a tool for Garbodor, but again, he's drawing so few cards, and ends just don't matter to Rahul while he has trade up. He does only have 1 copy of Zorak GX in play, so he only has 1 trade, so that's something that, you know, it's not quite, he can only draw 2 cards. It is possible that a lower end will lock him out, but looks like his hand is just fine this turn with an end of his own.
Yeah, looking at Azul's hand, though, I don't see if there was anything much really merit. Ultra Ball, Heavy Ball, and the Grass Energy, and does not look. He's looking for that Golisopod, but I think it's still in the prizes.
Wow,
Man, this
yeah.
could be a rough beating.
Azul's last Golisopod.
And there it is. Wow, how heartbreaking. He was 1 prize card away from taking it. And unfortunately, with the way things are set up right now on the board, this Golisopod's going down next turn.
Yeah, it doesn't really have a whole lot going on after that. I don't, maybe he can, I guess he will draw it next. Look at that first impression for 30.
The first
wow,
impression
it's
for
so
30.
sad.
It's nothing you want to do with this deck. You really hope for Floatstones and Guzmas and Acerolas to keep going, but with the way things have drawn for Azul, he's really on the back foot right now.
Oh, absolutely. He needs to take another prize somehow before he can even get that other Golisopod out
Where's
of
the
the prizes.
Gladion?
Yeah. I know Azul plays 1 Rescue Stretcher, I believe. We can confirm that. So I don't know what's in his discard pile, but I don't know if he's already discarded something, but he could get that Golisopod back next turn, potentially. So maybe things aren't as bad for Azul as we think, but he's definitely on the back foot here.
And their roll goes right as beating for the knockout, now down to 2 prize cards. And I don't know what Azul can really put together. Maybe a few Tapu Lele attacks.
Yeah, despite what we thought was going to be a bad matchup for Rahul, it seems like he has just been dominating both of these games.
And there I see the 1 Rescue Stretcher is in his deck. And thanks to this Tapu Lele Wonder Tag, I believe he got Sycamore?
Yeah, he did get a Sycamore, so he is going to be able to draw what looks like a significant portion of his deck.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, though, you kind of want to do Sycamore and N right now. You
Yes.
really want to lower Rahul's hand size down, but you also need a lot more cards than 3.
Here we go.
Oh,
7.
Right. What did he get? He did get the double colorless. He got a Floatstone. And he has a Choice Band as well. This is a pretty good draw for him right now.
Yeah, no Rescue Stretcher, but like you said, he does have a way to attack. He does have a way to turn on Garbotoxin.
Tapu Lele might have to put in a ton of work to see if Azul can end up stealing the victory in Game 2 in a matchup where his deck should be favored.
Yeah, you see Azul taking some time here to think about how he's going to orchestrate this turn and the next few turns, assuming the game goes that long.
And there's the energy drive. He chooses not to attach the choice band, valuing it more on a Glycopod if he has
Field
access
blower
to
off the
it.
top again.
Wow. These field blowers have been perfect timing for Rahul. And now let's see what he can work out. Bloodthirsty Eyes might be an option for him to take out this Wimpod.
Yeah, you can take out the one Wimpod as we've seen him do. I saw him do in Game 1 twice, actually. If you can find...
even like a strong energy on the Buzzwole to take out the Wimpod with that.
Yeah, that would be nice too. Kukui Choice Band gets him the knockout in the game.
So he's really looking for that last puzzle of time then.
Yeah, just gonna take a Zoroark off of this Ultra Ball. Not really any other option.
It's definitely just trade fodder.
Yeah, just trading it away.
Does not find the puzzle time off that, but he does have the max potion and drew another double colorless, really limiting Azul, and now he really has to draw a Rescue Stretcher.
Yeah, now Azul has just basically blanked Azul's last turn. Is putting pressure on this Tapu Lele, making it so that he has a lot more outs to be able to knock it out. Doesn't need that Choice Band Kukui play anymore. Even if Azul can retreat it after it takes his damage, Bloodthirsty Eyes can bring it right back up. So Rahul is fine here.
All right, there's the Ridus beating on the Tapu Lele. 120 damage, 50 away from being knocked out. And action is back on Azul. Does he have access to try to find Rescue Stretcher in his deck? From his hand, I believe it's a bunch of Guzma.
Looking through Rahul's discard pile there, that is the only double colorless, I believe, that is in there. So he still has, Rahul still has access to 2 of them.
And there's an Acerola kind of delaying the win for Rahul, being able to get out another supporter. But is there even draw supporters in there? It's Acerola and Guzma left in his deck.
Yeah, it just takes another Acerola to kind of hopefully do the same play next turn. It looks like
he really only has a couple more draws to try to find this Rescue Stretcher, and even then, he's still very far behind.
Yeah, the Rescue Stretcher far from just wins him the game.
So I believe we're going to see a double colorless and an energy drive. He chooses to attach the Choice Band to the Garbotoxin, and that is something very smart from him, saving it last turn. He's like, okay, well, if he has the Field Blower, at least I'll have a tool for next turn.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's the Enhanced Hammer on the Strong Energy, on the benched Buzzwole, kind of taking away some of the options Rahul has.
Yeah, Azul just kind of realizing that if he's going to win this game, it's going to be because he deals with the Zoroark. Wants to put damage on it, just getting rid of the energy on the Buzzwole with the Enhanced Hammer. He could have gotten the DCE, gotten rid of the DCE on the Zoroark, but just decides he doesn't want any tricky plays to come up with that Buzzwole.
Rahul just needs to take 2 more prizes to advance to 9-1-1. And he's so close, he could taste it right now. He really just needs to cobble together a few more attacks. But with only 1 Zoroark GX in play, with 80 damage on it, no doubt, it will be a little bit harder for him.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get rid of the Garbotoxin this turn, at least I don't think. He has gone through 2 Field Blowers, I believe.
Especially knowing that Azul has Acerola in hand, where his attack this turn wouldn't really matter.
So we see energy, basic fighting onto that Rockruff with a Choice Band. Using that last puzzle of time. Ooh, to see not good news, honestly.
Couple energy and a Rockruff.
Yeah, and that's, I don't know if, I don't think Rahul has a supporter in his hand.
He has a Guzma, but that's it.
So he knows that the next 3 draws for him are not going to be great.
And without having the ability to trade, it's really dampering him right now. Thankfully for him, unless Azul finds that rescue stretcher, he's not really kind of threatening this Zorark for a knockout.
Yeah. He Azul's play this turn, didn't see what he top decked, but is likely just the same as last turn. Acerola up the Tapu Lele, Wonder Tag again, or sorry, not Wonder Tag, but Energy Drive again, but that puts him in a similar position. He just kind of like does this turnover where Rahul can still hit the Tapu Lele, and then the pressure is back on Azul because Rahul only has 2 prizes remaining.
Yeah, and there we go. Rahul attaches the strong energy.
Oh, he just has the...
There we go. Dangerous Rogue GX taking the knockout
and that's the
for
knockout
the game.
and the match. Right, he just had the Lycanroc in his hand. Rahul Reddy wins the match in what is supposed to be an unfavorable matchup for him.
You can see Rahul just like, man, I think I
that
stole